Happy Friday. I hope you've had a good week. This weekend is supposed to be spectacular weather in this area, so hopefully you'll be able to get outside and enjoy some of that. I have a shorter thought than usual for you today. We're going to be in the book of Hebrews, which is probably the most theologically dense book of the entire Bible. Well, tied maybe with Romans. There is just so much in here about the nature of Christ and the cosmic scope of his ministry. And to make things even more fun, the book is just packed with Old Testament references. So when you read the book, you really want to have a Bible with cross-references that you can look up. Now, to dive into anything within the first 10 chapters of this book is probably outside the scope of a 10-minute video. You'd have to really lay out the whole argument of the book and the framework that it has. So we're just going to jump to the last 3 chapters of the book, which are an epilogue that I think kind of stand more on their own. Let me read to you chapter 12, starting in verse 1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses... Okay, wait, hold up. Whenever you read the word therefore in the Bible, that's your clue to rewind. Whatever we're about to read next is directly tied to whatever the author of Hebrews just talked about. And what did he just talk about? Oh, Hebrews 11. That's a famous chapter, right? That's the famous Hall of Faith, where we get this awesome SparkNotes summary of some of the heroes of the Bible and the things that they accomplished or endured. So we could spend a lot of time talking about that chapter, but the simple point is this. 12 verse 1 reads, Therefore, since we are surrounded by a history of ordinary people who did incredible things for God, since we read stories of mighty faith from humans just like us, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. I love that last phrase, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. It's this reminder that, oh, you remember all of those people who had amazing faith on the last chapter? Yeah, Jesus was behind that. He's the beginning and end of all true faith. But what I want to focus on today is the phrase, fixing our eyes on Jesus. This verse tells us to throw off anything that's slowing us down and focus on and run towards Jesus with perseverance. And that's such a great word, persevere. The dictionary defines it like this: to continue in a course of action, even in the face of difficulty or with little or no prospect of success. Even when you're met with obstacles and doubt, you keep going. So just a silly example of a time when I didn't persevere. I don't know if you ever had to take swimming lessons growing up, but I only lasted in mine for a year. The program that my sister and I joined would put kids into these different level groups that were named things like minnow or shark or dolphin. Well, the earliest beginner level was called pollywog. Now, I didn't know what a pollywog was, but it sounded like something that you use to unclog your toilet. So I vowed that I was not going to stay in this humiliating group for very long. Well, long story short, I wasn't the greatest swimmer. When I tried to float, I would sink like a rock. When I had to swim 20 feet to get a pool noodle, I would hyperventilate and have to be dragged out of the water like a beached whale, which may or may not have happened more than once. But I was trying hard. So you can imagine my disappointment when I overheard my instructor tell my mom one day, Morgan, my sister, she's definitely going to be able to move up to guppy, but Jordan's probably going to need to stay in pollywog. I never went to another swimming lesson. And there's a great lesson for you kids. If at first you don't succeed, give up. No, that's the opposite of the lesson for today. Let me tell you another story about a lady who didn't give up on her swimming lessons. Her name was Florence Chadwick. She was an incredible long-distance swimmer, and in 1952, she decided to attempt a 26-mile ocean swim from the California coastline to Catalina Island. A team of people traveled alongside her in a boat, watching for sharks and ready to help her if she needed to quit for some reason. And 16 hours into her swim, she called it off and climbed into the boat. Now, what do you think the reason was? Was it sharks or jellyfish? Had her leg cramped up? Was she just exhausted from her swim? It was none of those things. The reason she quit was because a dense fog had rolled in. When she couldn't see where she was going, she lost her orientation and her confidence, and she gave up. And imagine her disappointment when she got back into the boat and she was told that she was only a mile from the other shore. She had no idea she was so close. The verses that we read today told us to fix our eyes on Jesus and persevere. He is the goal of Christian life. He is what we are moving towards. But you have an enemy who is bent on your destruction. And this enemy wants to put fog in your life. He wants to discourage and distract and disorient you from reaching your goal. This enemy wants nothing more than to blur our vision of Jesus so that we become frustrated and throw in the towel. But don't give in to this temptation. Keep going. Persevere. With whatever goal you've set in your walk with God, don't give up. Don't stop short. Because just like Florence, you might be much closer to your goal than you realize. My question for you to think about today is this: what is the fog in your life? What is distracting and disorienting and discouraging you in life? What is blurring your vision of Jesus and where he's leading you? It's important to know where you're headed first and foremost. Make sure you're headed towards Jesus. But once you've done that, it's important to know what's stopping or slowing you down in following him. And whatever you come up with, whatever your fog is, take that to God in prayer. It might be something that's in your control that you need to surrender. Maybe it's out of your control and you just need strength and wisdom from God. Whatever your next step is, my encouragement for you today is to keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, no matter how much fog rolls in. That's my thought for you today. I'm going to hit the randomizer and give a quick plug for tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. here on this channel. Our church will be having our worship service live streamed. I won't be preaching, it will be Pastor Kevin preaching tomorrow, so I'm sure it'll be great. The book that we are going on, I knew it would happen at some point. Next Monday, we are in Song of Solomon. Things are going to get PG-13. No, they won't. Well, I don't know. Have you read the book? Anyway, that'll be fun. So make sure and join us on Monday morning. Until then, have a wonderful weekend. Bye.